Bill.
All right, yeah, I'm Bill Anderson from Cumberland, Maryland. Are we seeing much more of a growth in what I would call military culture in this country, in which, because I'm thinking it's not simply just the, these U.S. adventures, economic adventures abroad, but also when they come home, that we're seeing more and more military retirees or people with military backgrounds in all the bureaucracies. And this is not a slam on people in the, who've been in the armed services, but rather I'm wondering if there's, you get this culture, isn't it, like of obedience? You simply obey orders because that's what you do in the armed forces. You obey orders, and I'm wondering how far is this, seeping into these other agencies that seem to be demanding just absolute obedience.
I think that might be part of it. I mean, it's amazing how many Americans have been happy to take orders from the federal government. This is something which I see when I'm traveling and I'm stuck in a TSA line, and, naturally I'm always trying to chat people up, kind of like, so what do you think of this, And there's always a fair percentage of people like, I'm really glad that they're there protecting me. And, I'm just sorry I don't have a title for the Brooklyn Bridge to sell these people there in line. I mean, it's amazing how much BS smart people have swallowed. And okay, there's a certain percentage of people that when it comes to politics, they will never know their nose from a hole in the ground. But the thing that struck me, and I see this a lot with the Washington media, is that these folks should know better. After the history of COINTELPRO, of the FBI spying and abuse of the 1960s and 70s, there was no reason to assume that the surveillance that the Justice Department was openly conducting after 2002 would not be a peril to our liberties, would not be used to suppress dissent, and would not trample the rights and liberties of the American people. But the news media, it just lost its nerve. It just lost its nerve. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. The news media has not lost its nerve. I'm a local journalist, but I've been in direct...
For who?
What?
For who?
Well, for the Gazette newspapers in Gaithersburg, in Maryland.
Montgomery County, that's a real
Montgomery
hotbed of liberty.
Yes,
a hotbed of liberty.
Well, you've got to start...
Folks here know Montgomery County, right?
Let
I don't
the
need to
lady
say anything
talk.
else. I'm sorry.
Should I move? Why not stay and fight at home? I've tried, and I've become a community activist. I've talked to Jacob about this. I have spoken at microphones. This involves a usurpation or a taking of private land. The basis of freedom is ownership of private land, and our land is threatened.
Okay.
It's the collusion between developers and government. And it starts right with the local level. I can see it. I've been speaking before a microphone since last November. I know I've been effective because one of the councilwomen has cut me off. She refuses to accept my emails anymore.
Okay.
But
is there a
here's
question?
the thing. Yes. The question is how do you handle it when you are a journalist is indirectly threatened with a lawsuit? These little, you talk about torture.
Okay.
There's ways of torturing journalists.
Okay. Well, the first rule is never take legal advice from a freelance writer.
I'm a freelance writer.
Well, so am I. It's something which varies from circumstance to circumstance. I think that there's some lawyers here who might be able to give you a lot better advice than I could on that.
Okay, so. I'm taking paralegal courses this summer.
Okay,
I'm working with lawyers. I'm not going to stop speaking.
Okay, good. Keep speaking.
I'm not going to stop writing.
Good. Keep speaking. Okay. Next question.
I was shocked to hear about the national security letters that you spoke about. They seem to be such an obvious violation of individual rights. Could they be used as a basis for a civil rights suit against the government?
The ACLU, I think the ACLU, the Center for Constitutional Rights, I believe, and some other groups are suing the feds on these at this time, and they've gotten some discovery in the courts. They have found some stuff. It's interesting. There's sort of a stereotype about the ACLU. A A lot of people have a visceral, hostile reaction to them, but the ACLU has done some of the best work in the last 5 years in this country. There are a number of issues I strongly disagree with the ACLU on, but they have been very courageous on a lot of the worst Bush abuses. And it's interesting on something like torture. The folks in New York, ACLU, Center for Constitutional Rights, Amnesty, those folks have been in the forefront of torture, and all of the think tanks in D.C. have done almost nothing on this, or else they've been in favor of that. And that includes think tanks that you would have expected to be concerned about these kind of abuses. But it's been the organizations in New York, not D.C., that have been the forefront on that.
Thank you.